Hi, it's Dr. Taz here, Dr. Teresa A. Smith. I hope everyone's having a great day. I wanted to talk a little bit about turning points. I know I'm not the only person who has faced those situations that when they happen to us, sometimes we just don't know what to do. Yeah, those situations can be work related, they could be family related, they could be personal health situations that have impacted us. And sometimes it's like, what do I do? Well, at some point, if you're like me, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's when you've got to reach that turning point. Something's got to shift because you're at a place where you're no longer thinking from a rational perspective, or your emotions may be like all over the place. And it's like something's got to give here. Well, today we're going to talk about turning point and what that might mean and what it might look like. It is always going to look a little different for everyone, but we're going to talk about it today. And of course, when I talk about it right now, I'm talking about it from the perspective of what I wrote about in my new book, Transformation: The Bounce Back. In this book, I talk about having unexpected health issue that took about 4 months to figure it out, and we're still refining it now because with the human body, it does react to everything that occurs with us. So we're still refining it. But I use that as the backdrop because it taught me resilience. It reminded me that I had resilience, rather, and it taught me to embrace challenges. So today we're just going to jump right in. And the thing that I want us to talk about first is that even though we have all these things going around us that's happening to us, or that we're being impacted by, sometimes it's like we're on a roller coaster and you're just holding on to the rail, hoping that you don't fall out, even though you're thinking you're not going to fall out. Well, we don't have any control in those situations. Because when you're on a roller coaster, hi, Glenn, thanks for joining me. When you're on a roller coaster, it's just like here, there, everywhere, it's going so fast. And life is like that sometimes too. And so we have to understand that we really don't have any control. So for others, though, let me think about what may make us think that we don't have any control. You don't control your work schedule. You wanted to be on vacation. They said you couldn't be on vacation, but you need your job. So you're going to work your job. It may be for others, they're advocating for their children's education, or they may be advocating for their education. Others may be experiencing it as relates to their parents' health. They may be taking care of their parents. The situations may vary, but when you ultimately boil it down, we don't have any control. We really don't. So the first takeaway is acknowledging that surrendering to the uncontrollable doesn't mean it's a weakness. It's actually a strength, because what it means is you're living fully present in the moment and you realize you don't have any control over this. So you're now able to look at things a little clearer once you clear your mind from that fuzz, thinking that you got control when you really don't have the control. Is it going to be frightening? Yes. Now, some people would tell you it's not going to be frightening, but anything that is unknown typically is a little frightening for us. So I'm going to tell you, you might be a little scared because you don't understand what's happening and what's to come because we don't control it. But also we have to learn to be fully present as we live our beliefs. It's one thing to talk about something. It's another thing to live it. And I'm the first to tell you, it is hard to live it. That's the reason I was sick for 4 months. It's hard to live it, but you have to live your beliefs, and in small steps. Each day, I have to make a small step towards living my beliefs. Now, these are my personal beliefs. They may not be anybody else, but they don't have to be because it's about me. So, as human beings, it's going to be hard sometimes to live our beliefs. Because it's like this. You're driving a car and then somebody else's beliefs try to come in and both people are trying to drive the same car at the same time and only one pair of hands can steer the steering wheel. They say, Jesus, take the wheel. Well, I can't drive it and somebody else drive it. Our beliefs are conflicting. And I have to get to a safe space within who I believe that I am, that I'm able to say, thank you. But that's not what I can do at this moment, because I've got to be true to my beliefs. And when we do that, and we allow our beliefs to guide us through the uncertainty, we create a space that's where miracles can happen. Because no longer are you trying to control something. You no longer have your hand closed, you've opened it. And so an open hand can receive. A closed hand can't receive anything. So being able to trust in your beliefs, even in the uncertain times, that's the strength. That's the takeaway. Trust in your beliefs, even in the uncertain times. Then we got to look at setbacks. Now we know setbacks can be a preparation for the comeback, but it is a springboard. But it's how you engage with the setback. You know, life's like a game, and you have to understand the rules, and the rules are constantly changing because it's your belief and somebody else's belief. Okay, so when you're dealing with that, the rules are constantly changing. So here we are, like when I was a little girl, we would play Simon Said. We'd be playing this with my cousins, but I don't know what to do when the directions are not clear. So if the directions are not clear, you don't know how to proceed. So what you have to do is, think about what's happening, because we're using Simon Says as a example of when you don't understand something. But, it's that internal dialogue, and then sometimes it's that external dialogue. They're in conflict. So what we have to remember is that even though it seems like it's a setback, you wanted to do something, you're prepared to do it, but then you can't do it. That's okay. That's okay. Because that setback may be the springboard for something that you didn't even know that you wanted, or something that you wanted, but you thought it was too big of a dream, that you couldn't achieve it. So be mindful of how we interface with our setbacks, because there are opportunities to build and refocus. So takeaway is that every setback holds the potential for a powerful comeback. Okay, a powerful comeback. But do we have to do it all by ourselves? No. It's good to have individuals who can support you. We're not meant to live alone. God made Adam, and then he made Eve, because it wasn't good for man to be alone. And then he had the first family, and then the connections from there. So yes, we should have support, but you have to be very careful. Be very careful about who you let support you. Some people, you think they've got your best interests at heart, but they may not have your best interests at heart. So you have to be very careful. When I was thinking about this, I was thinking about where someone said to me once, you have to be very careful about who you let pray for you. Likewise, you have to be very careful about who you let support you. The hope is that they're empowering you. But a word of caution, you be careful, because in that relationship, if you're not being empowered and you're always pouring into somebody else and they're never pouring into you, you might want to reevaluate that relationship, because it seems like it's a little unbalanced. Relationships are never going to be 100, 100 or 50-50, but it should be a mutually beneficial relationship. But if you're the one that's always giving and you're never receiving, are they really supporting you? But we all still need support. You just have to determine who the individuals are that you're going to allow to support you and who you're going to support, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. So the takeaway is reach out, connect, and let your support system empower you. But remember, make sure you got the right support system, because you don't want the wrong people supporting you, okay? I think about Lauryn Hill, as I said that, I think Lauryn Hill said, how can she get some reciprocity? Who does she have to be to get a little reciprocity? So in essence, it should be mutual. If it's not mutual, like I said, you might want to reevaluate. But the turning point that new dawn, when you get some clarity, it's like magical. It's like something magically happens, It's like it's like when you wake up and it's like you're sort of foggy, and then sometimes it's like, oh, it's like something just lifts and your brain is just wide awake, it's alert. It's magical. And that's what that turning point is. It's something that magically happens. For me, it was, as it relates to the bounce back, finally getting to a doctor who listened to me. Not saying that others didn't. They did. They did. However, we didn't get to the right answer. So getting to a doctor who listened to me. She didn't rush me. She let me tell her those symptoms that I thought were kind of bizarre. And it was in those bizarre symptoms that clued her into what was going on. Because I thought every time I said, this is going to sound sort of strange, but da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, no, that's pointing to this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so as I've gone back to see her, what it has also done for me as far as the turning point, it makes me more comfortable when I go in and I advocate for myself, because I'll tell her, well, this is happening now. We got that under control, but this other part's not under control. She made a suggestion recently, we can do X, Y, Z. I said, I took my medicine twice in one day by accident, but the next day it was a good day. I had some good relief. And so then she was like, oh, well, there's another pill that I can give you instead of us doing what she wanted me to do in addition. So now I've got 2 medications, which that works better for me, for my life and how I live. And I'm seeing some relief. So that's a great thing. But I had to get to a place where the turning point was occurring and I felt comfortable in advocating for myself because I'd found the right doctor. So, my doctor looks at everything from a holistic perspective. And I worked in medicine years ago. And so when folks consult me, I'm always telling them, look, they have to look at everything. So when you're going in and advocating for yourself, you need to think about it from this perspective. You need to be ready to converse with the doctor or whomever when they say X, Y, Z. Same thing if I was in my school council role and I was talking to a parent and they're telling me what the concerns are about their child. I used to do it at the State Department of Education here in North Carolina. The calls would be sent to me and I would listen to the individuals. I didn't know them, they were strangers, and they would tell me what was going on and I would listen. And then I would tell them who they needed to contact and I would give them the number and would transfer them. But I would say to them, this is what you need to say. I said, don't tell them the other things because that's going to confuse them and you're going to lose them. This is your question. This is your concern. For me, it was a part of who I was in my internal core. I never thought that I was empowering them, but I was actually empowering them. And some of the individuals would call me back months later and say, hey, I called, I got you, and I got this question now. Can you help me? And for those that I could, that's what I did. Because again, you never know how my helping someone else is going to make their setback be a wonderful comeback. So again, the takeaway here is the turning point often arises when we align ourselves with the right resources and the correct perspective or the right perspective for us. But even with all of that, there's still a mystery. And sometimes we get clear solutions and sometimes we don't. You heard me say we've been adding medication and we've been changing dosages. It's still a mystery, still a little murky, but we're better. So embracing both the mystery and then the solution that may not be the definitive solution, when you do that, it's the 2 unknowns. When you do that, it's a sign of growth. I would love it if someone, no, I don't. I was going to say I would love it if someone could wave that magic wand and everything could be okay. I don't. And the reason being is if everything was great, I would not get the lesson. I wouldn't get my lesson. And because this is a journey for me to get my health back, I'm constantly reminded every day that I've got to learn the lesson. because it's in the lesson that the butterfly can emerge from the cocoon. So embracing both the mystery and the solution is a sign of growth. And growth is important for all of us, no matter what our age. It's very important. So the takeaway here is embrace the solutions while remaining open to the mysteries that might make life a little intriguing. Because it's making my life intriguing. You know, I'm sure I'm making my doctor's life intriguing too, because it seems like there's always something else. But my little quirkiness continues to refine the diagnosis. So that's the most important thing. So as we wrap up, I want you to remember that your journey is unique, yet your experiences may resonate with someone else. And that's what we want out of life, because we don't want to have to live all of the experiences that can occur in the world. We want to just live our experiences, learn our lessons, but then learn lessons through what other people have gone through, because that's what life's about. And we don't want to squander that time thinking that we've got all the answers, but because we don't. We can still learn from others. So for me, it's about the journey of self-discovery, which I want it to be for you too. I want you to be comfortable with that. The journey of self-discovery, resilience, and embracing change. And let me tell you, that self-discovery ain't no joke. And I know I said ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. That's the one that keeps us on our toes. And that's the one that makes it hard for us to be resilient, because sometimes we get to feeling so bad about something, or we worry. But when you put all of it together and you embrace it, and knowing that you don't control anything, because we don't, we open our hand, that's when things can start happening for us that are positive. But we have to open our hand, we have to open our ears, open our eyes to that. So let's celebrate our ability to transform challenges into stepping stones to find our hope, even in the uncertainty. So thank you for joining me today. If you like this live, please leave me comments. Please like it, share it. Until next time, remember, take care of yourself first. Learn from my mistake. Take care of yourself first before you try to take care of anybody else. Okay? Bye now. Take good care.